let me move back into one thing that's kind of something that we wanted to touch on. And we'll let Kevin start on this one. I would say the pitfalls, we've kind of given you, here's 5 stones that you need kind of from each of us. But there's certain things that we have either made these mistakes ourselves or other men have made these mistakes and it's really hurt their church or taken them out. And so we want to speak briefly to that, and then we'll go back to some more questions. Start with you.
Number 1 would be launching public services too early. I've never met, I'm sure they exist, someone who waited too long. I've seen so many guys do it way too early. So there's some reason that you think, maybe not you, probably you think that when you have weekly public services, then you're legitimate. But until that happens, you're not legitimate. And so you want to get them rolling as soon as possible. One thing you don't think about, once you start weekly services, they keep going. Here's, like, some of you guys, you can't wait to preach, but after 4 weeks, every story and anecdote you have, you've used. And then you got to keep preaching, and you've got to try to continue to grow, develop, and plant a church that was premature in its launch. So, you can't do it. So launching too early, that can be not big enough. I recommend to guys, depending, I say you probably shouldn't launch until you have 70 or 80 folks that you know will be committed. I think that's a really healthy number. And we're a highly relational church, and we grow by our relational networks, not by our advertisements. We don't have advertisements. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but our method is relational networks. And so when you have 80 people, that's 80 relational networks. It's just exponentially, it's a lot larger group of people to go to. So I really recommend that. Every case that might not happen. Launching too early because you don't have an identity as a church. You don't know what you want to be about. You don't, and having a website and a name is not having an identity. You don't know your context well. You don't know what the gospel faithfully lived out in your context is going to look like, and so you launch too early. I know church plants that have gone through 3 or 4 different identities. It's like, we're going to be all about this. And they have 30 people for them for a while, and then they read, the next book that comes out. I just read Total Church. Shift gears. Now we're going to be all about Total Church. And then Trellis and the Vine came out, and it's like, well, they're a little different, so we're going to be Trellis and the Vine. And you don't have an identity. And I think launching before you have that identity is a very dangerous thing. Arrogance, your pride, that is a huge pitfall. God doesn't need you. If he uses you, it's by his grace. I think I made that clear. I'll give 2 more. One of them's been hit on, so I won't hit on it hard. But lack of leader development, developing leaders in your church, in your core. Which leads into my other one. Some planters I honestly think they want to be an Old Testament priest and the mediator of their people. And they want every problem to come through them. And they want to counsel every person. And they want to be the hero that everyone looks to. That will kill you and kill your church, and it dishonors Jesus. So raising up early on, a lot of leaders, you don't have to give them titles. One of the things I really firmly believe in is, in America, any of you guys get a liberal education? Anyone? Right? Liberal educations, they're great. You gain a little bit of knowledge of everything, but you're not really good at anything, right? Like, I can tell you a little bit about anything, but I think sometimes pastors are like that. That they're kind of good at everything, but not really great at anything. I'm saying this: whatever you're gifted in, run with it. Whatever you're not gifted in, outsource it. So raise up leaders, hand it off.